Sometimes you get lucky in life, sometimes you don't, but there are those rare few occasions where you get blessed by the Almighty. And today is one such day because I've been given the keys to a Porsche Macan GTS for a 1500 kilometers road trip from Delhi to Mumbai. Long story short, there is no set agenda for this drive, except for the part that I just have to drive it non-stop from Delhi to Mumbai. Do I have any complaints about it? Not one bit. We started from Delhi yesterday and we reached Udaipur late at night at 12:30 am. So we covered roughly 600 kilometers. Now, if I have to sum it up really quickly, I'd say that first of all, the engine, it has that 2.9 liter V6 twin turbo, produces 434 bhp. And it is an absolute nuke of an engine because it has got performance throughout. It is free revving. It feels like it's not in an SUV. It feels like as if it's a race car engine because the way it revs, it's just mind-blowing. The other thing that I really love about this engine is the noise it produces. So there are 4 modes in this car, including individual, normal, then you have sport and sport plus. So sport plus is the most aggressive, and that's when the car, as you can hear, that's when the car starts barking and produces those pops and crackles, and it feels sensational. The sense of speed that it gives you is just out of this world. Now the GTS sits at the top of the perch, so that means it is the mightiest and the most powerful Macan that there is. And it definitely feels that way because it is quite hardcore. Similarly, the gearbox complements this engine beautifully. It's a 7-speed PDK dual clutch transmission, and on the open road, wherever you are, it is the most obedient gearbox, I'd say, because it gives you the right gear at the right time whenever you demand it. So even if you're using manual mode, it just drops gears very quickly. Honestly, it's very difficult to drive this car slow. I was struggling to maintain the speed limit yesterday, and in a good way, in the sense because 120 kilometers per hour, it feels like a walk in the park for this car. The true potential of this engine and gearbox and this whole car comes only after 120 kilometers per hour, which is not recommended on public roads. But if you have a track to yourself, I think this car can shape designated sports car because the balance of this thing is also out of this world. Now, for a lot of people, you'd imagine that this will get boring after a time because you're doing a long road trip on straight highways. But it's not the case with the Macan because it does keep you entertained. Now it has got that launch control which does 0 to 100 in just 4.5 seconds. During all those toll plaza stops, I just engage the launch control and go for it. So it keeps you entertained in that way. Plus, whenever you're feeling bored or sleepy, you just have to drop a couple of cogs and just mash the throttle pedal. And it sounds wonderful on the overrun. Those pops and crackles from the exhaust, well, they'll keep you awake the whole distance. And what's also amazing to feel is the sensation that you get from your right foot. So every time you open the taps, well, each gear shift, it feels like you're unlocking the next level of performance. You feel it that way in the throttle pedal because it sort of goes a step deeper and it feels like there's more and more performance with every gear change. Of course, it has got 7 gears and I can't redline it in each gear because then I'd be way over the speed limit, and I think that's not recommended on public roads. But I can only imagine how it would feel to max out this car on a racetrack. And then there's the handling. Well, of course, this is a Porsche, so it's expected to handle as if it's a sports car, and that's exactly the case. Of course, being a Porsche, it has that signature driving behavior that you'll find in any Porsche. And as far as handling is concerned, especially long distance, well, I think it hugs the road like no other SUV that I have driven. This has got Porsche's sport suspension. Of course, it comes with air springs, but the way this car drives, the way this car holds the road, of course, it feels very race car-like. So there are 4 modes, like I said, a Sport Plus being the most sporty. So that was the mode that I was driving this car in for the most part. And in that mode, it feels very rigid on the road. Even if the tarmac is smooth, it feels very rigid. But the upside is, of course, you get that secure feeling when you're driving it at high speeds. Now similarly, it comes with staggered tires, so it has got fat 21-inch wheels, 265 section at the front and 295 at the back. So because of that, the grip is simply phenomenal. The other thing is, of course, the steering. This is the party piece of any Porsche car. The feedback is brilliant. It's direct, it's precise. It's as if it's connected to your mind. Feels very telepathic. It does exactly what you wish for. And the way this car corners, well, you don't really have to hold back. You can go flat out around a corner and it'll just grip and grip and grip. That said, I have to say that there are some drawbacks of this very sporty handling, especially on Indian roads. The first thing is, of course, like I said, the ride is a little rigid. So even in normal mode, of course, it is a little soft, but it's still a little uncomfortable. Kind of car this is. I won't say the ride quality is objectionable, but yeah, over long distances, you are going to notice that. There are a few bits that are sort of alarming. So first of all, those tires that I talked about, they are low profile, they have stiff sidewalls, and they are very fat. So the contact patch is really wide. So what happens if you're driving on a highway that's not perfect, as in the roads are rutted, this car tends to tramline very severely. Now similarly, if you go around a bend quickly, which is what I'm doing right now, and you hit a mid-corner bump, well, because of the suspension which is too rigid, and of course these tires which are low profile and everything is set up, race spec sort of thing, you'll start noticing that it's not quite stable, in the sense it feels a little skittish at times. The GTS in Macan GTS's name stands for Gran Turismo Sport, so that means it is suited for grand touring. But is it the case, especially in India? Well, after covering around 1,000 kilometers, I have to say that it doesn't do the comfort part that great. But so you definitely notice that, especially right now. I'm in Gujarat and the roads are less than perfect, and there's a lot of vertical movement in the car. So if you're sat behind, you'll definitely notice it. There are a couple of things that I absolutely love about this car. The cabin may not be the most advanced, but it feels very racy, especially these green seat belts which match the Python green paint scheme on the outside. Looks brilliant. Then you have this Sport Chrono watch, which also gives you a very racy feel. It has that lap timer sort of a thing. So again, when you drive this car, you immediately get in that mood where you want to drive, where you want to explore everything that this car has to offer. Now coming to the seats, they are body-hugging sport seats, so they hold you firmly in your position, and I think when you're going for it, when you're driving it fast, when you're going around bends, it is quite supportive, and again, it feels very race car-like. But the seat material, well, it is a little hard, and over long distances, you'll notice it. I'm not complaining. I'm very happy with the driving position, because again, I'm driving the car, so I'm enjoying. I'm more in that zone. I'm not thinking it critically in the sense how is it as a grand tourer or the GTS which it stands for. But of course, if you're not sat here and you have to make do with some other seat, as in passenger seat or at the back, well, you are going to notice that the seats are quite hard, and over long journeys such as this, of course, it can bother you. And it's touchdown Mumbai. It's just about 4 a.m. and we have made it to Bombay after 2 days of sort of non-stop driving. So I think the last leg was a bit too much, in the sense there was a lot of truck traffic at night, and I think that's the bit that I didn't quite enjoy, and I won't even recommend driving at night, especially a car of this size and this sort of power. But overall, I think it's been a privilege to drive this car for so long, and even now, we've been driving for 12 hours, we've been shooting all the time, and I think I can still drive it more. It's not just about the car, it's about the experience of driving a sports car in a country like ours. And of course, as a reviewer, I have to say there are some good points and bad points about the Macan GTS. But I think the whole point of a car is, like I said, it's all about experience. And it's not just an experience for the driver, but also for everyone who sees this car. So we crossed 4 states in the last 2 days, and everywhere you go, you can see people, their jaws drop, and they are in absolute awe of this thing. So it is a sports car, it looks sensational. So yes, I think overall it's been a pleasant journey. I think this journey, it reminded me of a quote by ex-Top Gear presenter James May, who once said that, you know, if you're driving an exotic car or a sports car, which not a lot of people can afford, it is a service to the common public, because most of them are not going to experience it from where we are experiencing. So of course it is a service for the common folks, and I think that is part of the experience, and that is part of the excitement of owning or driving a car like the Macan GTS.